Good morning, it's Torte de Lini. It feels like it's been the longest time since Faceless Void became one of the best and strongest position 1 carries in the game. The reality is, he's kind of always been a good carry hero, but now it's more of a product of the meta and buffs, the things around him that's leading to his success, and not really honestly about the hero itself being too strong. Oh, by the way, if you like this video, you can check out the description for my tutorial on my main channel about how to play Faceless Void at the bottom, or maybe I can add it as an end screen clickable button or something here, or I don't know how YouTube works. But I mean, for starters, Faceless Void is just a reliable carry hero, and honestly has always been generally a good popular pick among pros and high tier pubs. That said, right now the hero is just one of the most contested picks in 8K MMR games, and at the latest ESL 1 Birmingham qualifier, I think he's just insanely popular. Let me take a look here. Yeah, so you can see he's got a 53% win rate. He's in over 117 matches, more than the sum of a lot of these other heroes. We check Dota 2 Pro Tracker, you can see just endlessly played, 54% win rate. Just an absolutely bonkers hero. Just really difficult to kind of take down overall. So there's something definitely up with him, right? But did he really change all that much in the past year? Well, to be honest, not really. If we actually check his change log, which I actually have already prepared, he hasn't really changed all that much, right? There's been a few changes. He's been mostly nerfed, right? Changes to his time dilation, to his time lock stun, but nothing really too noticeable. And the truth is that his items have been buffed, but really more importantly, the heroes that he hated playing against have all really come and gone away in this latest patch of 7.35. So if you remember in 7.33 and 7.34, we kind of saw an uptick in 2 areas of our matches. 1, the duration of our games were the longest they've ever been, and 2, strength heroes became pretty much unkillable gods. And both of these aspects come from changes we saw in those patches that I just talked about, like 1, how the map was expanded, leading to difficulty in ganking and thus more passive farming and jungling, something that Faceless Void does a lot. The popularity and convenience of health, defensive and strength items like Hooded Defiance, Echo Saber, and Vanguard, which could all be disassembled to late game items, made strength heroes very, very easy to build up a lot of survivability. And then number 3 is the big change. HP per point of strength was increased in 7.33, which meant that all heroes really had their health risen up and just became overall a lot more survivable. And this became especially true if you built strength items like Heart of Tarask, which I'm sure a lot of you remember being very popular in the previous patches. So now, Faceless Void, he's a very good late game carry, but an okay farmer, and he's very item dependent. So while long matches in the previous patches would make a Faceless Void player pretty happy, the hero picks of the past meta kind of pushed Faceless Void down, as heroes like Spectre, Medusa, Chaos Knight. I don't know if you guys remember any of these heroes. You kind of blocked them out of their mind, but they're pretty annoying to deal with, right? We can see here Wraith King, right? Wraith King just dies inside the chronosphere of Faceless Void, and he just comes right back up. Necrophos, really annoying to deal with. Chaos Knight we talked about, etc. I think you get the point. So these heroes just aren't very beloved by Faceless Void because he fights inside his chronosphere, and that's pretty much his moment to shine. So if you can outlive that, well, he's kind of in a jam, or so to speak, in a pickle. And more importantly, actually, these heroes also honestly just farmed better than Faceless Void, right? Chaos Knight, Wraith King, they farm really well with their crit and lifesteal. Not to mention that they also can summon skeletons for Wraith King to farm around the map. Medusa, right? Split shot, just incredibly powerful, especially when people stacked camps for her. Much better than Faceless Void that we're seeing here. And if you guys actually remember, one of the top counters to a lot of these heroes was someone called Muerta, one of the newest heroes from Valve. Was also a fantastic hero to play against Faceless Void, right? Faceless Void would jump in, pop Chronosphere, and then in comes Muerta, pops her ultimate, and just blasts him to death. Nothing he could do about that. So honestly, it just wasn't a good year for Faceless Void, or really for most agility carries back then. And now in 7.35, we saw a correction that kind of made everyone gone with the dinosaurs in terms of the popularity of strength heroes. But in that extinction came a rebirth of agility heroes like Luna, Slark, and Faceless Void. So with his main concerns kind of out of the way, and the match is still pretty decently long, Faceless Void has kind of come out on top on this patch. So the reality is that the hero has just always been good, just shrouded underneath all the other heroes of the previous meta, as I mentioned a few times already. So even though his Mask of Madness is no longer as convenient as it was before because it doesn't disassemble into Butterfly, they did buff one of his main items, Maelstrom, to provide even more attack speed, which is just, fantastic for the hero. But it's actually more than that. Faceless Void is again a result of the meta, as I kind of talked about, right? So many popular heroes are just annoying to catch and deal with, like Ember Spirit, Meepo, Slark. These heroes are just fantastic killers that have great ways of getting away from damage or debuffs, and Faceless Void just kind of cuts right through that, right? He just puts a big stop on top of all that. More importantly though, Faceless Void has a very stable laning stage because of Time Walk, and he fits right into this annoying meta where everyone needs, like 3 or 4 ways of shaking off disables and debuffs. There's also this magic damage meta that's going on, and Faceless Void is also perfect for that. If we compare, let's say, Faceless Void's Time Lock with Slaughter's Bash, right? Slaughter's Bash is physical damage type, and Faceless Void's Time Lock is magic, on top of his scaling physical regular attack. And don't forget, he also picks up Maelstrom, Chain Lightning magic damage that also can hit, multiple units within one captured Chronosphere. So right from the first Chronosphere, Faceless Void's mixed damage shreds a lot of heroes, regardless if they have high armor or health. And lastly, Faceless Void is the very thing he likes to hunt, Slippery. That was a really bad pause for dramatic effect, but anyway. We already talked about Time Walk in the laning stage, right? But he also has his level 25 talent, Backtrack passive, that effectively negates all damage you may take, including spells. So his itemization is not only convenient for him, like Manta Stab, Butterfly, and Disperser, they also provide, which also provided more damage through the agility attribute, as well as attack speed, which he needs for Time Lock. And they also have this ability to rid him of debuffs and giving movement to the hero, right? So Time Walk has a little more space to be utilized, whether as to initiate or to escape or reverse damage. So how is Faceless Void played now? Well, honestly, like I said, he hasn't really changed for the past few years, actually, in terms of his item build. You rely on Time Walk to make a stable lane, and then you just farm up the jungle with Mask of Madness and Maelstrom. Beautiful Chronosphere here, by the way. In fact, you could even skip the Mask of Madness and just go straight into Maelstrom and even Manta Style, since the Maelstrom now gives attack speed in the latest patch. Whenever Chronosphere is up, take a fight, and that is nearby and convenient. And when it's down, just keep farming your Black King Bar, your Mjolnir, and any late game item you think you need. Honestly, the fact that the hero is pretty fairly straightforward to play and cyclical in his playstyle, right, with Chronosphere being up or down, makes him pretty easy to pick up, which is very nice for a lot of newer players or lower level players to try out. Again, I have a tutorial on my main channel on how to play the hero. If you want a full breakdown, check the description, add over. So what are the ramifications on Faceless Void's popularity? Honestly, we've already started seeing a lot of counterplay in the hero picks, right? Winter Wyvern, Vengeful Spirit are seeing an uptick in popularity and success, as Winter Wyvern is not only a great counter for Faceless Void, since you can use Winter's Curse, her ultimate, to completely shut down the hero, Faceless Void, during Chronosphere, but she also deals massive DPS from afar as a pause 3 offlaner due to how great other items have been buffed in 7.35, like Witchblade, aka Parasma as well, and Mage Slayer on Winter Wyvern. Now, Vengeful Spirit did get a nerf with Solar Crest, but it's actually turned into a buff by the way they've changed her, because she's not only a very common support or offlane pick, since you can swap anyone out of the Chronostorm. On top of that, she picks up an Ag Scepter, so if she dies inside Chronosphere, she's just like Wraith King, right? She just comes right back with an illusion and stuns Faceless Void out of Chronosphere. But on top of that, they made it so that when you swap places with a hero, she gets a big buff of shield, and they buffed Solar Crest so that it's also more of a defensive valuable item that can then be layered on top of her own nether swap shield effect, which is honestly pretty annoying. I can't stand it. So it seems like Faceless Void is not only becoming the answer to a lot of current popular heroes like Ember Spirit that we talked about, but also becoming a black hole in which other heroes are showing up in response and succeeding against him. Heroes like Lone Druid are also pretty great because a common way to shut down Faceless Void is to root him and prevent him from escaping from Time Walk. More importantly, Faceless Void in the mid game is a big farming cyclone, and Lone Druid likes to start pushing down towers coming into the mid game. So to conclude, because this is a big rambling 10 minutes, 11 minutes soon. To conclude, Faceless Void is so popular these days because he's the sum of the meta, which is a consequence of the previous patch's meta, and an attempt to correct it. He excels in long matches, which is still a remnant of the 7.33 map expansion. He has good mixed damage, right, with his magic and physical damage. He takes a lot of popular buffed items like Maelstrom and Disperser. He counters a lot of current popular heroes, especially those who also buy Mage Slayer like Ember Spirit and Slark. And he's also similar to heroes that are current meta. He has strong movements and escapes, lots of ways to get out of debuffs on top of reversing damage with that Time Walk. That's it. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If your thumb is anywhere near that like button or subscribe, just do it and turn off notifications. Doesn't bother me. Big numbers make my heart skip a beat. As always, the algorithm hates Dota, so we need to make noise through comments to tell the algorithm that we're still here. At least I am. Also, if you have any ideas on what else to talk about, let me know. I saw someone ask about Arc Warden and Spirit Vessel. I'll definitely talk about that one. That one's easy. I got one where Dragon Knight's very popular, and it's kind of rare to see that. It's like a shooting star in Dota, so kind of cool to see that. I'll talk about that probably next video. I thought of also doing some tier lists, but sometimes there are heroes I honestly just don't have that much to say about them. Anyways, thanks again for watching, and have a good morning.